Thank you so very much for all that heartfelt and genuine applause. We deeply appreciate it. Welcome to The Long Shot. It's a podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Sean Conroy. With me today on the show, the other host of The Long Shot, Miss Amber Kenny, is here.
Hello, how do you do?
How do you do? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good night, good noon, good dawn, good day, good desk. I think I texted you this, but I actually had a meeting this week with somebody who in the meeting was like,
I heard you and Amber chit-chatting for too long.
Yeah, that was basically it. Like I listened to your podcast. I felt like I was having a conversation with people and I wasn't allowed to talk.
That's our whole thing.
Yeah. And he didn't say like I liked it, and he didn't say I hated it. He just said I listened to it, which is always my favorite thing. I mean, that's like when this used to be a big joke among Eddie and myself of like people coming to stand-up shows and going, I saw your show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And,
that was a Mitch Hedberg joke. Like he would always.
Oh, we stole it from Mitch Hedberg. Yes.
No. He would say that he would go up to people. Like if someone did that to him, he would leave and then come back and say, hey, I just saw you here in the airport. You were good. Like he would always add you were good. Like asshole, you could just say that.
That's funny. Yeah. So we did that for a long time of like, hey, I saw your show. And then we knew somebody who was a performer who would always come off stage and tell us that he felt very strongly that the audience really enjoyed his performance. Like he would just come off and go, I think they really loved me tonight. They thought I did a great job. So that became our thing after that, was just telling each other that we both thought the audience thought we did a great job, which is a hilariously delusional way to walk through the world. Right.
But it's like almost what you need to like survive.
I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree. You have to think that.
But it is delusional. Like both are true.
Right. You have to feel like you are making a huge impact, and you have to be unaware that you are not. Yeah. All right. Well, we love to start the show with a segment that we like to call Checking In. So why don't we start tonight? Since I am hosting, let's start tonight with me.
Wow.
Yeah. Classic fake out. Much harder to do when you only have two people hosting. Yeah.
The difficulty goes way up.
Way up. I don't have a lot exciting to report as usual, since I basically have no life at this point, except the only thing I did one thing this week, or I did it a couple of weeks ago, but it finally worked out today, and it caused me to start to reflect on the past and on the present, which is that I got a new computer.
Oh, that's a huge deal.
That is a big deal. And I was thinking about it in a couple of different ways, because the first thing I was thinking about, of course, was like, what are the computers I've had over the years? It's like having a car. Like you start with the really shitty one, and then you get something
Somebody's
a little better.
One.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, like, how did you might be getting into this, but like the decision-making process.
Please ask anything.
It's a little, it's like almost paralyzing in the sense that there's plenty of options, and just like anything on the internet, when you read, like half the people think it's the greatest and the other half think it's the worst. And then there's the whole tech side of it where you're like, well, I don't want to get something, and then it's the old technology in 15 minutes. But at some point you have to get something. So walk me through, how did you make this decision?
That's exactly the decision-making process, because and luckily I go through life thinking no matter what I did, it will be the wrong decision.
Sure.
So it doesn't matter ultimately,
It's delusional in the opposite way, the least helpful way.
Right. It will not work out. It will not work out. I am doomed. So I am going to.
Those are interesting mantras.
My mantra is I am doomed. That's actually true, by the way.
I know.
Not that that's my mantra, but that is the truth.
No, it is your mantra, and that's what makes it the truth. It's my unconscious mantra. You repeat it all day long, every day. It is your mantra.
Sir, welcome to the post office. What can I do for you? I am doomed. Yeah, I know. Do you want some stamps?
Yeah, clearly.
Why do you think I'm here? Yeah, so that's exactly right. Is like, and it was the thing of I've had this computer now for, I think I've had it for almost 10 years, maybe. Or no, less than that. Maybe like 8 years. And that feels like not that long to have a very expensive piece of equipment like that. But I kept getting messages, and this is the computer I'm using right now. I constantly get messages on a regular basis that basically are the computer saying, not even that it needs to be updated, just like, this is, I'm of course paraphrasing because it doesn't actually say this, but basically the computer just sends me messages going, look, man, I'm done. Can you move on, please?
Exhausted.
Yeah.
None of the software I'm compatible for or whatever.
Like, sorry, Dave, but I will not be able to function much longer.
It's my retirement.
Yeah. And that's been going on for like 2 years. I've been getting that stuff. And part of it is because...
Well, they build things to die out because of capitalism.
But part of it is also that you acquire so much stuff and your computer only has so much room on it. And so I would end up, taking stuff off and moving stuff to other hard drives and whatever.
And then you have to remember where things are.
I don't fucking know where anything is. Yeah. I have like 4 different hard drives with stuff on it. And I'm like, where is that one photo I'm looking for? Mm-mm. And it's like, who the fuck knows? Mm-hmm. So finally, and it was specifically related to the idea that I've been working on this short film. I don't know if you know that I directed a short film last summer.
Yeah, I'm very aware.
Yeah. And I couldn't do anything with it on my computer because I did not have room to download the... Right. Like, whenever I get a new cut from the editor, I can't do it on my computer.
You got to go to the library and watch it.
No, I have to set up my old Super 8 projector in my living room and pull the screen down, and thread it through thread the film through the projector. No, I've been watching it on my iPad, which is okay, but it's like, it's not ideal, Right. It's much harder not much harder, but it's a little harder to like move to stop and start and whatever. And, I have to go back and forth between.
And then you can't take notes on your iPad while you're watching.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
But you can take notes on your computer, but it's
damn
awkward.
It. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So then you go, okay, what am I going to get? And I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't like, obviously laptops were such the big thing when they came out. I mean, this is one of the things I was thinking about today was like, when did I get my first ever laptop computer? And it was probably in the early 90s at some point that I got. So
you were like an early adopter.
I was an early adopter. I had to go to the adoption agency a number of times and I had to fill out a number of forms, but eventually they were like, okay, you can, what about this one? Do you like this? Do you like this one? It's had several homes. I, you know, it was like, oh, I'll be able to take it anywhere and do anything with it. And it's going to be so great because you can go to a coffee shop and do your work and, you know, and now I'm like, I don't give a shit about that. Half the time, the first drafts of stuff I write on my, I write it out longhand. So, and I find that way more effective than doing it on my computer. So I kind of was like, I don't really need a laptop. I can get a desktop computer and just use that.
Do they even sell those anymore?
I'm sorry, sir. It's 2023. I'm doomed. I know, sir, but we're a computer store. I can't help you with that. Anyway, I called a guy who is a computer guy out here who you probably know and talked to him about it. And he just talked me through a bunch of different things. And he basically was saying exactly what you're saying, which is like, you can get this one, but in 6 months, they're going to come out with a new one. And then you're going to, and I'm like, I don't fucking care.
But like, I also won't be reading those articles. I won't even know that I'm missing out on something.
And I don't want to keep getting these messages from my computer that are just like, dude, I can't do this anymore. You know,
I am doomed.
Or worse, have it quit in the middle of something and not function anymore.
Right.
So anyway, I took the plunge. I was like, okay, I'm going to get this thing, and then I'm going to figure out how to make it work with this other thing and move this thing around and whatever.
So did you go for desktop?
No, he talked me into getting a laptop with a dock.
Yeah.
So I have a monitor and a keyboard for another computer that I don't really use very much. And so I can get rid of that computer and just keep the monitor and the keyboard and put the laptop in the dock and then hook it up and use it as a desktop. This is how you use a computer. And I can use it as a desktop and then take it on the road whenever I want to. So it's the best of both worlds.
That's what I do at work.
You have a dock at work.
I have a laptop, but like giant. I have 2 giant screens.
Now you're just bragging. I could get another one, I'm sure, at some point.
For my home station is just one, but I set up the laptop next to it so that it's like 2, even though.
So at work you have 2, at home you have 1 plus, basically. Yeah.
I could just do the one, but now I'm so spoiled of like referencing something.
Plenty of room.
Well, no, like I reference one document while I'm working on the other screen.
Right, which is always a nightmare when I'm working on my laptop, which is
my God.
Got to shrink this one, move this one up. I'm working on this one. Now I got to see what this one says.
Yeah, no, it's that's what I did the first 7 months of the pandemic. And it's all like, also everything is so teeny tiny. Yeah.
And there's another part to this whole process, which is, so now the thing is just sitting on my laptop. No, the laptop is sitting on my desktop, on my countertop. It's on my, do they have a countertop? They should make a countertop computer. Anyway, it's on the countertop and
because it's not set up yet.
I just got it today, so I have not even started to. But there's an aspect for me of, it's like when I am trying to, when I'm in my Jamie mode of like, I'm starting fresh, I'm going to start over again. And I go out and buy like new paper clips and a little tray for organizing pens and pencils and like index cards, and I'm going to have a system. I feel like that's a thing that I go through every 5 years.
Well, it's like back to school. It's right. I think we all
like starting over,
for so many years. Yeah.
Right. And somehow it always involves stationery for some reason, I guess because of the school thing. And so I'm in that phase with this thing, and I'm like, I have like my desktop on my computer is exactly like the desktop in my real life, where it's just clutter of tons of shit everywhere with absolutely no organization to it. And so now I'm like, maybe I can start over and try to pay attention to that. I don't know that that will happen. It probably won't. I have doubts about my ability to do that.
Because of your mantra.
I am doomed. But that is my hope, is that I can go into the thing and sort of just have it make sense from the beginning, instead of just be a sprawl of whatever the fuck happens to come out.
Right.
I mean, I never worked in an office. I never worked in any place where there was any kind of organizational system until I started working. I mean, you know, in a writer's room, there's an organizational system, but it was never my responsibility until about 10 years ago. And then I just had an assistant who did it all for me, and I never had to worry about it myself. So now, even just like naming documents, I'm like, well, I guess I'll never see that again, because I have no idea why I would name it what I just named, you know?
Document. Yeah. Document lowercase. Document uppercase.
Document number 4.
No, that is a real thing where working in an office for so long now, so much of my life. But I do have some of those, because I am not a naturally organized person, but I have some of those skills that I take for granted. And then I talk to people like yourself who never have really been in that situation. And I'm like, Dave on Liquid Feet. He's always like, I
know Dave.
He tends to do like a lot of our editing. And so he has like all Liquid Feet songs and videos and everything. And whenever we're like, hey, could you pull up this one? And he's always like, that's going to take me like 3 weeks. And I'm like,
because he has to go look through every file.
And I'm like, could I have them and just name them or have folders that are like the years. Like it won't be that difficult, but like, could I please have at it? Because I'm not the most organized person in the world, but that's something I can do.
Yeah, it's a problem. And I mean, you know, the last few years, as I've been sort of more than I ever have, as I've been like developing very specific projects, I've gotten better about it, because I'm like, I'm naming it by the name of the project, the name of the, you know, the number of the draft, the day that I saved the file on, whatever. So it's gotten
V1,
better.
V2. You know, like,
well, no, that doesn't even work, because if you forget, if you go back you change a version and then you forget to rename it, you're like, I don't know where I am now, because I have version 3 here. But version 2 is more recent than version 3, you know? Well,
and I find with like things that I've picked up about organization, where I've learned the most is like what I hate receiving from someone else. And so like that's how I've taught myself in the reverse, because like if you get an email that is just like question is the subject line, I want to throw you down a well. Like, no, absolutely not. Or approval.
Hey, do you like hey?
No, if we're talking work emails, no. Hey means I'm getting fired. Like, get out of my face. Or you're being so passive aggressive. But like, people sometimes make fun of me at work for my email subjects. But guess what? People know what it is, and they know how to find the email again if they need to reference it. I'll put either approval needed in all caps, colon, and then what it is. And then in parentheses at the end, the due date. All in the subject. Or question, or like I just try to make it FYI. I try to make it like at a glance, you know what you're gonna need, what action needs to be done with this email.
Right. I mean, I have one friend who's actually been a guest on this podcast a number of times, so I won't say who it is, but people could probably figure it out, who sends emails that are just the subject line. Like, in other words, there's nothing in the body because everything important is in the subject line. And so you're like, okay, I guess that's the extent of the email, but yeah, so I'm anticipating that this will be, but the other thing is, not only is the desktop of my computer a mess, but my apartment is in that same shape right now as well. And so you're
like switching back and forth which one you should tackle at what point.
Well, that, but also I'm like, I got a new computer, so I can just leave everything on this computer and not worry about it unless there's something where I'm like, I really need this one thing, then I can go back and look for it. And I just get a fresh start with the new computer. I'm going to download a couple pieces. Literally, there's one script I've been working on for the last couple of weeks, 3 weeks, that I've been writing out longhand and not putting it on this computer, like not typing it into the computer because I'm waiting for this computer to come to just have it on that computer and not have to worry about going back to the other computer, Like I'm so excited. But then I'm like, oh, it would be so great if I could just leave this apartment here and move to a new apartment and just come back and get the stuff I need and leave everything else here in case I ever need it again. I might need it, but I won't have to organize everything. It doesn't work that way,
I thought you were going to say that you didn't want your brand new perfect computer to know that you lived in chaos.
Sorry, Dave, this place is inappropriate.
So when do you think you're going to start using it and setting it up?
I think tomorrow.
That's exciting. I think it's like Christmas.
I think I'm going to crack the seal and see what happens. Because part of me, I know what it is. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I think this is what you were going to say but also because you want it to be like the perfect, good, right system, that I would procrastinate on that, because as soon as you start, you might do something that now it's permanently not that perfect system anymore.
I think that's true. And that is a fear that I have. That is definitely a thing. It's also the same issue that I have. There's a different issue, which is the same issue I have with the apartment, which is there's so many things that need to be done that I'm like, I get trapped in this thing of like, well, I can't do this until I do this, but I can't do that until I do this, and I can't do this until I do that, and then I can't do, and all of a sudden I'm like, I wonder what's on TV. Yeah. Which is way easier than doing anything. But what I was going to say was not what you thought I was going to say, because what I was going to say was the script I've been working on is the script for the next short film I am hoping to direct.
Cool.
So I did the first one. It's not finished yet, but it's coming along. And I'm like, fuck, man, I did this one. Now I want to do another one. So I can use the first one to show people and get people on board and say, we're going to do a bigger, funnier, stronger, more fun, crazier thing. But I want to be able to do it around the same time that I did the first one.
Hottest part of the year.
You're exactly right. Yes. The last couple days of August. The dog days, we call them. But I promised somebody, I talked to somebody about it, and I was like, I will have you a script by February 1st. First draft of a script by February 1st.
That's coming up.
So that's very soon. So I feel like because I've been writing all this stuff out by hand without actually putting it into the computer, and of course, what happens when you write it by hand, I don't know if this is your experience, but as I'm writing the script by hand, I keep writing the same scenes over and over again, but I keep having new ideas and going no, this is the version. You're not editing
a document; it's a new page.
So I have like a pile of stuff.
V1, V2.
I put 2 of them in the fridge, 1 out on the patio, so I have to go find them. Who knows? I'll have to call Dave and see where they are. But at least they're all from 2023. I do know that. but I want to get them in because I want to get this thing done, at least a first draft. And I feel like if I could just get into the computer and start entering, because that is a big part of the process that works really well for me, is going from the stuff I wrote out to the actual computer draft. I don't know why, but somehow
it like clicks and makes sense.
It just makes everything work better somehow, you know?
And I gotta try doing that more often, because I find a blank piece of like notebook paper.
Canvas. I write on canvas.
Okay. A blank piece of canvas, less intimidating and daunting than a blank computer document. It should be the same. But if I have something written and I know, like I have a starting place at least for this typing, and then I can edit from there, it feels less painful than just like looking at a white screen. Yeah.
And I also feel like, I mean, I do think there's something about the connection to your whole arm and your brain, and, you know, I don't know. I know a lot of people disagree and feel like that's a waste of time. But for me, I think everybody has to find their own process, you know? It's like different things. Different things work for different people.
Yeah, I don't think there's like, oh, they're wrong and I'm right. Like, if that works for you, great.
Right.
Great.
Yeah, but this is a little better. All right, so that's my checking in. Let's go next to Amber checking in. What's going on?
Checking in. So yesterday afternoon,
which was a Sunday. I just want to orient everybody, because, you know, if you were like yesterday afternoon and it was Wednesday, that's different from Sunday.
We're talking about something completely different.
Yeah.
Well, they are opening a Super Nintendo World as part of Universal Studios.
Great.
Where it's themed like Nintendo.
Mario Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Super Nintendo World. Can I have a job?
No. And because I'm an employee of NBC Universal, they gave us like preview tickets and we could sign up. And it was this whole ordeal at work, because I feel like everyone was more excited about it than I was. And then they were like, did you get the email to sign up for the tickets? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, they came out.
I don't know. I got an email that said invite, and I don't know what that's about.
But the email went out on a Friday morning. And so I clicked on it and I picked, like, you got a 2-hour window. So I picked 3 p.m. on this Sunday.
You have a 2-hour window, and I'm sorry that you do have to climb in through the window. So.
But truly, I got the email. I think there was like a little bit of like loading. And then I picked my time slot and they emailed me the tickets. It all happened within maybe
seconds.
5 minutes total.
5 minutes. Okay.
All of my coworkers in chat are like, I can't get in. Like, the server keeps like dropping me. The time slot I wanted is taken. I have to start over.
This is bullshit.
Yeah, like they were like losing their mind, and I was like, yeah, I already got my tickets. I don't know what to tell you. It's Taylor Swift all over again. But so I got them, and so we were given 4 tickets. So I invited my friend Lampy and her husband Kevin, and the 4 of us went on like a little double date, because I feel like they were fans of Super Mario. I don't know. But I was like, that'll be fun.
Hey, Mario, welcome to Super Nintendo World. Can I have a job? No.
Well, and I foolishly thought that, like, it being a preview ticket, like, it's going to be mellow. It's going to be just and that was not the case. Also, I invited my friend and I made fun of myself good and well yesterday, but I was like, really exclusive preview tickets, like, you're going to want in on this. And
by the way, guys, dress to the nines, okay? Because we are going to be walking on the Mario carpet.
But the whole week,
the red and green carpets.
The whole week leading up to our tickets, like I felt like every single person in Los Angeles went to Super Nintendo World. Like everyone on Instagram was like, we got advanced tickets. And I'm like, oh, okay. So never mind. It's not that exciting. But we went and you also were able to go to all of Universal Studios all day with those tickets. And we were like,
so you had a 2-hour window for Super Nintendo World, but then the rest of the day you could go to Universal, which is like about $150 value, basically.
Definitely.
I mean, you're talking about with the 4 of you, that's $600 you're spending for the day right there.
Right.
Or not spending.
We decided to squander it. We went in the afternoon. We went and we went a little bit early. And as we got there, I completely forgot, but Lampy hates rides.
Oh, she hates that stuff.
And
she prefers to ambulate herself.
Yes. And she hates escalators. And I don't know when the last
Which is a similar thing, except less exciting.
Right. But also, in particular, Universal Studios, because they built it just like on the side of a hill, it's mostly escalators. Like you have to ride about 20 minutes escalators to get to the lower lots or whatever. And it was very crowded. And I'm basically like at the risk of making light of an actual medical issue. So I'm not doing that, but I feel like I'm agoraphobic light, like I don't love being around a lot of people. And so it was
agoraphobia is fear of the outdoors.
Right. Okay, then I'm not agoraphobic. I'm whatever fear of people and crowds is. I like the outdoors. The outdoors is awesome.
Yeah. I think fear of crowds is called crowdophobia.
Sure.
No, it's triskaidekaphobia. That's what fear of crowds is.
I don't know. But we get there. We're a little bit early before our window, and so we walk through the Simpsons world because Lampy wanted like some merch or something.
Hey, I'm Bart the Simpson. Welcome to Simpsons World.
And so she went right into a gift shop in the Simpsons place. And I walked in and Jeff put on a mask and I put on a mask and no one else did. And then I was like, I don't want to shop for Simpsons merch. So I'm not going to. So I stepped outside and like looked at things. And then
did they have Duff beer cozies?
I think, I should have got one. I love a koozie.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only person I know that unironically uses a koozie every single day.
Keeps it nice and cold.
Sometimes Jeff will like get a bubble water for me out of the fridge and I'm like, oh, it's missing something. But yeah, then Kevin had never been through like the Harry Potter world, so we walked through that.
Jesus Christ, how old is this fucking guy?
In his 40s.
He's never been to the Harry Potter world? Come on, get it together, Kevin.
Have you?
No, I've never been.
Well, it's like $150, like you said.
Yeah.
We don't all walk around.
I have not been there.
No. But again, it was the same exact thing where we just basically walked the world. I think Lampy and Kevin went in 2 different stores. And Jeff and I stood out and looked at stuff. And then we were like, okay, I guess we should head over to the Mario world, the Nintendo world. We had
Hey, I see you're leaving. My name is Harry Potter. Don't you want to stick around for a Harry Potter world?
And like I said, we had that 2-hour window, and I really wanted to ride the tram. I like the tram. It's you get to actually see the movie sets. It's like the fun part to me.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was the part that my father went nuts for when we went there.
Liked it?
Yeah, just was like, this is great. Like,
yeah,
he's a movie buff. Like, he loved seeing all the sets and the, Bruce the Mechanical Shark and all that stuff. He was so into it.
Yes. I agree with your father. Well, also because the rest of the park is like
not about everything, I hope, because he had some unkind things to say about me as a youth.
Oh no. Oh, but like a lot of the other attractions are sort of just like, this is how they make movies, but it's not. It's just them spraying water at you. And anyway, so I was like, yeah, maybe if we're feeling up for it, we'll go to the tram after Super Nintendo World. And they were like, I don't know, after 2 hours. And Jeff was like, we just blew through 2 worlds in about 3 minutes. Like, I don't think we have 2 hours in us.
No, there's so little to do in Simpsons World. There's going to be way more to do in Super Nintendo World. Simpsons is like 4 characters, basically.
And also a crucial part of the story that I forgot to mention. As we parked, Lampy was like, do you want a gummy? And I was like, yeah. So I had a THC gummy, which in hindsight, that was the wrong move. Like, it made everything way more intense. Mm-hmm. So we finally go to also then Lampy stops at another store. I was like, I didn't realize like gift shops at amusement parks so much. Like, that is such a weird thing to like. And
it's also so weird that an amusement park is basically a bunch of fucking gift shops. Like, you already paid so much money not you guys, but like if you're just a regular person, you already paid so much to get in, and then it's like, but also you got to get all this shit while you're there, because this is the only place you get your fucking wand, get your radioactive piece of material that goes on your skateboard.
Right.
Get your cart that you're going to bring home, Jesus Christ.
Well, I was dying laughing on the drive home because Lampy's like, in those stores, some of that stuff is real dumb. I was like, yeah, yeah, I know. I don't know what did you think where did you think you were shopping? It's a gift shop at an amusement park. She's like, you know what? Those weren't some of the most quality items I've ever seen.
But that also, well, we'll come back to that later. Go ahead.
So we finally go into the world, and I'm so on the fence because I would like to go. I have a whole laundry list of caveats, I guess. 1, I would like to go not on a gummy. 2, I'd like to go when there was 80% less people. I don't know if that'll ever happen. And C, I realized as we were walking in, I was like, I don't know anything about Nintendo. So like some of the details might have been insanely accurate. It's like a little bit lost on me.
You're not a video game person.
I'm not a video game person. No shame.
I like, by the way, that your list was number 1 this, number 2 this, and C this. I love lists like that.
So, and we walked in, and it is very impressive. It's very immersive, and everything's like moving and colorful, and it feels like you're in a video game. The other thing that cracked me up is as soon as you walk in, there's like, how in Super Mario Brothers you have to like jump down pipes?
I don't know anything about that game. I really don't. I'm not a video game person either.
I mean, this is
although I do have an Xbox.
This is just in the culture. I might pull it up as I'm talking because it is that crucial for what I'm saying. But
so are there like rides and stuff in there?
There is a ride. We didn't go on it.
There's one ride.
There's one ride. Mm-hmm. So like, oh man.
But what's the ride?
It's go-karts, I think.
Mario Karts.
Yes. Man, this looks terrible. This is not what I wanted to show you. But okay, whatever. I'm going to do it anyway.
Right. Sometimes you just got to go for it.
Wait. Oh, no.
Folks, we're having a little trouble with our Zoom room right now. We want to pull up an image, but we've only been doing this for 3 years now. So who knows how this tech stuff works out.
Okay. Here we go. Again, this isn't how I wanted it to be prettier than this. Mm-hmm. But see how he like jumps in and out of like a green pipe?
Yeah, the thing on the right there. Every pipe Super Mario ent.
Yes.
Are there ents in the Super Mario game?
What's an ent?
Ents are the giant, slow-speaking trees from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, God. Okay, now we're doing ads. I'm stopping it. But as you walk in, there's like 3 of those like huge pipes. Like it would be enough that you can jump in. And it's just a photo op.
Right.
And
that's where everybody goes.
Right. And you could be in it. And there is a huge line of people up against the wall to take this picture. It gets better than this. Lampy's like, oh, look, those pipes, and just runs and cuts in front of the entire line and takes a picture. And I was dying because there was zero malice or like, but I was like, there's nothing fun here that you don't wait in the line for.
Did anybody say anything when she just cut the line?
No,
like that?
But I was just like, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
That's really funny.
And she's like, that's on them. They should have been moving faster. It was an empty
I am so jealous of people who live their lives that way.
I know, because I was like torn up in knots just witnessing it.
Yeah. And like, of course, I would immediately look for the rules and the line and where you're supposed to stand. And is this okay? As opposed to just being like, I'm doing this. And it's like, I wish I was more like that.
I know. And yeah, there was one ride and the wait time was over an hour. And Lampy doesn't even like rides. So we're like, okay, let's not do that.
That's a fucking nightmare, by the way.
I know. And then, but okay, I'm not expressing this well enough. It isn't a huge area. It's like a cul-de-sac, basically. Mm-hmm. That's all like built up high and low Super Mario Brothers. So there's like mushrooms, like everything is themed and moving and ding, 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 ding. Like, right. So that's overwhelming already. Mm-hmm. But then it's not quite, but almost shoulder to shoulder people. Because everyone is like Instagramming every square inch or like picture. Yeah. And so I was like, I hate this. This is not what I care for. And you're gonna love this. You're gonna get so mad. So like there are like it's just like the game Super Mario Brothers where there's boxes that you could like hit and it goes like da-dong, da-dong. And
I'm familiar.
And if you have to buy a wristband that costs, I think, $45. And that way you can earn points all throughout the land and like do all of the things and like unlock the games. And we were like, we're not gonna, I kind of thought we were gonna get like a test.
All you have to do is get the right number of points. You go around, you put your wrist up to things, they give you points. Then when you step out the door, you're shot through the head with one of those bolt guns that they kill cattle with. So it's great.
So we're like, we're not going to get that, but like, let's see if there's something we can do here. Because it was the entire point of why we came here.
Can we just cut the line and get shot with the bolt gun right away?
And so there was like, I guess there's different lands and it's different levels. And if you pass all of them, you get led into the last level. So like Lampy went up to the guy and was like, what is this place? And he's like, well, normally you have to have a wristband and unlock all the levels to get to this one. But today, you guys are allowed in. And she's like, okay, let's do it. And I was like, what is it? And she's like, we're doing it. It's exclusive. And I was like, Okay. And so we're waiting in line.
Wait, so he goes, you can get in, but now you have to wait on a line first? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, like he's like, just go straight through these doors. And you're like, great. But shortly after those doors, you're in a line.
Is this place run by the TSA?
It gets so much better, Sean. It gets so much better. Just wait. So it's like Bowser's Castle, which
the guy from Sha-Na-Na?
No, it's the bad guy in Mario Brothers. I'm saying this because it might mean something to someone listening. I know it means nothing to the two of us. Mm-hmm. But it's a bit dark and it's decorated cool. Like we walked in and we're like, oh, this is cool.
You better hope it's cool because we're going to be here for another 52 minutes waiting online.
Sean, we didn't move. We didn't move. Like I cannot stress enough. We didn't move at all. In fact, people started going, like giving up and leaving the way we came in. And that's the only way we made any progress in the line. Right. And the deeper we got because people gave up, it might be my anxiety, but I think it's also true. Like, it was getting darker and smaller and we weren't moving. Because again, I'm okay. I even can. Amusement parks have lines. Like I don't love lines, but like I get it. Even if we had to wait an hour, I can understand that. And I can understand that after this hour, something will happen. We were not like there was no hope of anything.
Look, if you get to the last level, what happens is you get your dick sucked or whatever you are brought to orgasm, but we can't move the line forward unless the person achieves an orgasm. Right. So sometimes there's a hang up.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there was no movement. And on top of all this, I still don't know what we're waiting in line for.
Oh, God.
And so, and it's like getting closer and deeper and smaller. And I start actually panicking. Like,
well, you have agoraphobia.
Real deal, where I was like,
excuse me, she has agoraphobia light, please.
Which means I like being outside. But I don't know. It's something that I'm working on.
You're also high at this point.
I'm high. This is like the number one thing to remember. Mm-hmm. But and I think we did the math, and it's like exactly when they kicked it. Right. But I think it's something I'm struggling with, and it's something I'm working on because I like the idea of being the chill one who's like cool with everything and easy and low maintenance.
Right.
But like, I also have feelings sometimes.
Hey, welcome to humanity.
I know. So I finally was like, you guys can stay here. I need to leave. And they were like, we don't want to. Anyway, we all left. And then I was like, I'm really sorry. Because at this point, the whole point was to go to Mario World. We've done nothing.
Right.
We've looked at it and been over.
You've waited on this line for like an hour.
It was probably 20 minutes total, but it was 20 minutes of not moving at all. It could be like to a photo op. Like, I don't know what we're waiting for.
So so at this point, you're 20 minutes in and you're like, was anybody the voice of like, guys, we can't leave now. We've been here for 20 minutes. Like the sunk costs thing of like, we've put this much time in, so we can't leave now.
Well, I was like,
that's the person I always want to push out of the boat, you know?
Well, there's a little bit of like a discussion amongst the groups. And I was like, I'm not joking. I have to leave right now. Like, you guys are welcome to stay. I'm stepping out. Like, I don't even have it in me to have this conversation. And not long after they all came and they were like, no, like that sucked. We don't want to be there. And then again, Lampy and her lampiness was like, what's the staircase go to? And so we were like, I guess we're going up that staircase, and we followed her. And truly, I was like, I feel like this is the exit of
not an escalator. So she was very excited about it.
Yes. Truly, she ran up and down most of the stairs instead of the escalators.
Mm-hmm.
She must have been exhausted, but it looked like the exit of a ride. It looked like nothing. And I was like, it can't be anything because nobody's there. Like, there are people every square inch. But we followed her. We're like, we're going to get kicked out or like told we have to turn around any minute now. But we got to some like gorge. It was my favorite part of the whole day. We had a view of the whole Super Nintendo world. Almost nobody was there. I think there was like one other group. There was plenty of space. Mm-hmm. It was like a balcony, but it also had those ba-boop, ba-boop, ba-boop. So we just ran around and did the ba-boop, ba-boop, ba-boops without being around.
So that's Princess Buttercup's balcony. I mean, that's a thing from the.
You mean Princess Peach? So that was fun. Like, and it was hilarious because all four of us lit up the second we were there. And we were like, oh, this place is cool. I just needed to be away from humanity.
Oh, I thought you meant you started smoking weed.
No. Oh, that was another funny thing that I want to go back in time. When we were in the Harry Potter world, we kept being like a moth to the flame of the places nobody else wanted to be. And so there was like this little alleyway and in Harry Potter world, and it was just like a store window of produce. That was, and Lamp was like, I like produce. And we were like, yeah, we all like produce. And so we like gathered around and Jeff took a picture of Kevin and Lampy and I like really excited about the squash in the produce.
Was the produce singing by any chance?
No, it was just produce. And
because apparently there's a I think it's in Harry Potter world. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think I just saw a thing somewhere that said that there's a produce, like a window of singing produce in Harry Potter world that's singing Show Me the Way to Go Home. And it's because it's Universal Studios, and that's a famous scene in the movie Jaws. So it's like an homage to Jaws in the Harry Potter world.
That's crazy.
World, I guess. Because there's a scene in Jaws where the three of them are on the boat and they're singing, and it's right before the shark starts to
that is wild. And it's weird that you've recently heard about produce in Harry Potter world, but this couldn't have been more of a just run-of-the-mill still life meat and potatoes.
Was it real? Was it meat and potatoes or was it produce?
It was produce, but because we were so excited about it, other people are like, is something going on over there? And we're like, no, it's just squash. We like squash. So yeah, we kept finding these pockets of like, oh, nobody's over there. That seems pretty cool. And so we left Super Nintendo World pretty soon after getting there. And then we did the tram just because I really wanted to.
Yeah.
And it was very cold. But as soon as the tram started, our tour guide was a girl I was on a sketch team with for years and years and years. And so that was really exciting and fun. And she saw me at one point. So she kept throwing my name and our sketch team name into things. And that was a pure delight. It was so fun.
Folks, if you look over to the left there, you'll see Squeesh.
Well, like the name of the diver that Bruce, the shark from Jaws kills, was Amber, and she's like, oh, it looks like they're trying to make a truce, and that was the name of our team. Like, it was just cute. It was fun.
Yeah. That's funny, that thing you said about how people started going, is there something going on over here? It reminds me of how fucking weird we were when we were kids, because I lived in a neighborhood where there was not a lot of traffic that came through sometimes on my street. Like, certain times of the day, there was a lot of traffic, but it was kind of a little bit of a side street. So there was no reason. And it was before, all the side streets got ruined because everybody was taking a shortcut that way, whatever. And this is literally what we thought was funny to do when we were kids.
Give wrong directions.
No. Stand on the side of the road, pointing up at the sky until a car came by so that the car would think we were looking at something. Like 5 of us would stand on the side with no traffic around. We would just stand on the side of the road going, oh my God. And then if a car, like 10 minutes later, a car would come by and they would slow down and be like, huh, those kids are odd. Like that was our version of a neighborhood prank when I was a kid.
In college, we used to do this thing where we would run up, like looking like we were running up to somebody, calling their name, waving, but then going right past them up to the wall and then like shut down like a robot. We did that all the time. So weird.
We were ahead of our time because these would have been great TikTok videos. I mean, we really would have gone viral on TikTok with stuff like this.
I know.
So what else? Anything else at the Universal, Nintendo, Harry Potter, Simpsons, Bugs Bunny?
Well, I was
Superman
worried
Park
because all of my coworkers were so excited about it, and so then I was like, "Oh no, I'm scared that I'm gonna have to talk to them, and they're gonna be like, did you like the ride? Did you like playing all the games? Did you?" And I'm gonna be like, "We were there for like 10 minutes, maybe. Well, like longer because of that one line, but we did nothing, and it was fine." And it was really well done, but I would like to be there without any other human beings.
And your coworker just comes up and goes, "Did you get to that one part where you get your dick sucked at the end?"
Well,
we got tired of waiting online.
But I talked to one coworker today, and he had almost the same experience. Like they didn't wait on the line for the ride. They looked around, and he's like, "It kind of sucked without that wristband." I was like, "Okay," because sometimes I feel like a Martian or something with my coworkers.
Yeah.
Because I feel so different. And then with my comedy friends, I'm too corporate for them and I'm too weird for my corporate. Like I just don't fit in anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Life's hard. But the fact that they had similar experiences made me feel less, because I don't like yucking somebody's yum.
Maybe we do have something in common after all.
But yeah, I'm curious to see what other people think. I don't know. It was fun going.
Sure. Oh, it's never not fun doing that.
I'll send a video.
All right. Well, it seems like we're in a part of the show that we like to call parting shots. I mean, that feels like where we're at this point. So why don't we start today? Since I did the first round of checking ins, why don't I let you start?
Okay, great. I was just picking up my phone to make sure I had the right information. But I have a fun announcement / something I've been working on. I almost ruined it in talking to you about organization, but whatever, you'll see what I'm saying. But Liquid Feet has a Liquid Feet show coming up February 18th at the Lyric Hyperion. I think that's what that theater is still called, but it might have gotten a new name. And so we're really excited. We haven't put on a show that is ours since the summer of 2019. So It's been a minute. And we're working.
If by a minute you mean 3.5 years.
Yeah. So we're meeting a lot to figure that out and figure out how to do things again. And but it's a challenge. We're challenging ourselves, but it's a good, fun challenge. And I hope people come.
February 18th, you said?
February 18th. Lyric Hyperion. And
place looks great, by the way. I was just there last week.
Yeah, I heard there was like an opening party or something.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to make it, but yeah, working with Liquid Feet, it's very funny because we keep going, let's keep it simple, let's not kill ourselves, and then we have an idea and we're like, well, it's going to make it really tough, but we got to do that. Like we keep like undermining our whole deal of just like streamline it, baby. We don't have to make this hard on ourselves. But yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be good. We've been performing as Liquid Feet for 10 years now, which is so crazy.
That's a decade.
I know, close to it. And so I think, I don't know, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I hope people come to it, and I hope people enjoy it.
Great.
And I hope it doesn't cause a COVID outbreak. I hope a lot of things.
Yeah. No, that's exciting. I'm going to put that in my calendar on my new computer when I
nice.
Get my computer.
Nice.
Although I guess I'll have to transfer over the no. Okay, parting shots. I was going to talk about the messaging of the Republican Party versus the messaging of the Democratic Party, but instead I am going to talk about something that you reminded me of, which is it upsets me deeply that the whole point of going to places like that park you went to, the Super Nintendo place and the Simpsons and whatever, is like paying money to get into a place to then go buy more shit.
Well, also, before you buy those things, you're paying money to get advertised at the entire time.
Right. And also the thing that Lampy said about some of the stuff is really dumb. And that is like, that's even more upsetting because it indicates what we all know is the case, which is that the people who put it together go, just who gives a shit? Whatever it is, they're going to buy it. So it doesn't matter if it's any good.
They're idiots.
These people they're not going to come back. This is the only time they're going to be there. They need swag. We can give them whatever the fuck junky crap, and they're going to buy it. It reminds me of a job I had one year at Christmas time, which I probably have talked about on the show before, but it was long enough ago that nobody remembers or whatever. You
have a unique take on it now.
My perspective has changed. This guy, this has to be at least 25 years ago, maybe more. This guy I knew who I think I was kind of writing sketches with him before I ever even understood what that meant or how to do that. Like we were just kind of getting together and writing things. We never performed them anywhere, but we were like, let's write some funny things. And we never did anything with it. I feel like I had a couple of relationships like that early on when I moved to New York. Like one guy was a substitute teacher, and I remember him coming over to my apartment a few times and us writing some stuff together. And then this guy I met through another improviser or something. But anyway, we wrote some things, and he was like, hey, I guess it must have been after I was teaching because it was like a weekday. And he was like, oh, we can get these jobs at F.A.O. Schwarz, which was a famous toy store. It's the toy store where
in Big,
Tom Hanks dances on the piano in Big. He was like, they hire people at Christmas time to sell stuff, and we can get, 15 or 20 bucks an hour to do this stuff. And so I had to go in and have like an interview and fill out all kinds of paperwork and stuff. And, it's F.A.O. Schwarz, the most famous toy store in New York at Christmas time. So imagine how crowded it was at Super Nintendo World to the nth degree in New York City. And it's very close to Christmas. So everybody is like, we got to get something. I need to get something for the kids because otherwise they're going to think Santa doesn't exist. And that would be disastrous. So this guy and myself are selling on the floor. Like we're supposed to go out on the floor of the toy store and demonstrate how to use this particular toy. And the toy was these hands that you, like gloves that you put over your hands, but they look like hands. So they're hands. And you know that game where you hold your hands behind your back and the other person holds their hands out and you slap their hands or they flinch? That was it. So if you hit their hand, the glove would go, you got me.
Oh, no.
And if you didn't, it would go...
Nothing.
That was it.
But
and so
that is not a toy that you need because your hand can feel things. That's so crazy.
But you could get, for $35, you could get gloves that go, you got me, instead of just feeling it on your hand when you played the game.
That's crazy.
So he and I were supposed to stand in the middle of the floor
and play Ow, You Got Me.
And go, folks, check it out. We got this new thing, like these whatever. And it was so insane. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. And I said to the woman who gave us the thing, basically what you're saying, I was like, why would anybody buy this if you can just play it with your hands? Like, who cares that it says something? And she was like, basically said exactly what I was saying, which was, she just went, look, it's Christmas time. They have to buy something. If it's out there, they'll buy it. It was like, oh my God.
Merry Christmas.
So while we were standing there doing it, and I really think, as I'm remembering this, that I only went one day because I was so disgusted with the whole experience. And as much as I needed 4 hours of work for $15 an hour at that time, I could not bring myself to go back and do it again, because it was crazy that anybody would spend that kind of money for a piece of shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, while we were standing there going, folks, come check it out. We got this game you can play. Look how Andy hits my hands. And the thing says, you got me. Mick Jagger walked by.
What are you talking about? You've never told this story before.
And so we were pitching this thing, and Mick Jagger walked by without looking at us. He just wandered by. So after that became, we were immediately so, like, I think just so disgusted with the whole thing that we were just going like, folks, come check it out. The incredible toy that Mick Jagger just walked by without even looking at it. So spectacular that we could not even attract the attention of Mick Jagger despite shouting at this exact level, like just crazy. So I guess we were lucky we didn't get fired. But anyway, I just hate that idea that because that there are people who go to Simpsons World and they're like, we got to get the Simpsons, the Bart Simpson head. And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry, we're out of heads, but we do have this
elbow.
Yeah, like they just have all
Bart's
body parts. Yeah.
And
then they bring it home and somebody's like, hey, Dan, I noticed you got an elbow on your coffee table. What the fuck, man? Are you some kind of serial killer?
No, it's a cool story.
That's Bart Simpson's elbow. Okay, dude.
It looks like a big macaroni.
So that's my parting shot. That's it. That's all I got.
That's a good story.
Right. Folks, check out this game that Mick Jagger had zero interest in. He just said goodbye, Ruby Tuesday, and kept on going. He did not allow himself to introduce himself.
So funny. I gotta get that toy.
So insane. All right, well, that's our show. That's our podcast.
Thanks for joining us.
Hopefully, I'll have a meeting next week where I talk to somebody who listened to this episode. And,
so you could talk to them about them listening to us talking about.
Well, hopefully they'll listen well enough to go like,
Mick Jagger.
I enjoyed it, I guess. It was fine.
You were definitely doing it. You have a podcast.
Or I could just walk away right now and go, I thought I did a great job on the podcast this week.
You They were loving it.
They loved it. The people listening loved it. They thought it was, they loved me. They thought I was great.
Mm-hmm.
And they enjoyed Amber to a certain extent as well.
How well she kind of reflected back what I was doing and saying.
There's a clear delineation. Folks, thanks for listening. Please hit the subscribe and like it and ring the bell. We will see you next time on The Long Shot.
Bye-bye.
But I used to be lighter and quicker on my feet. I used to dance like a fighter. So now I mix my memories with a rusty old spoon, and I taste them when I am all done. For the grease stains and back pains and card games and migraines and my fame just melting in the sun. But if there's anybody here who remembers me, if there's anybody here who remembers me, then tell me right now. I'm just searching for a taste that's as bitter as my own, and I don't know when I'm gonna find it.